What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production.
Comic book reviews. Nifty nerd news. Heroes versus villains.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the BryFyPodcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy the Comics Guy, and with me is my son, who is now 1 year old by this time you're listening. Well, actually, today's the 13th, so he's a year and a day old by the time you're listening to this podcast, and he's squirrely in my lap right now. You can maybe hear him cry sooner or later. Anyway, if you haven't listened to the BryFyPodcast before, we are a one-man comic book show plus one son who does nothing. He helps at nothing. We review comics, talk about some nifty nerd news, and then I give you a little breakdown, just kind of what's been going on. Maybe, about my son or just random things that I deal with work. We throw in fun little segments here and there. I kind of just make them up as I go. That's kind of how we do. If you are a returning listener to the BryFyPodcast, thank you so much for sticking around for, 3 years now I think I've been doing this. And we are at episode 154, which is amazing. Also, for all of you who are now tuning in on YouTube and Google Play and all those other places that I'm slowly adding the podcast to, thank you guys so much. This week, I think I'm throwing in just some random videos of me playing like The Division, Halo, Destiny, and some Battlefield Hardline stuff and Battlefield 1 things. So if you watch over at YouTube, you can watch me play some video games while this podcast is just laid out on top of it. So it's not really a gaming video, it's a podcast with some gaming footage below it. Some horrible gaming, I might add. Although some of these are my highlights, some pretty good stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoy what I've been doing over on YouTube and stuff like that. Anyway, let's move on. Let's try to keep this short, simple, and quick. It's the holiday season. Tell you what, I'll throw in a holiday gift guide and just, for that nerd in your family. So let's get on with the comic books that I had to review for this week. Up first is Spider-Man issue number 7, which is a Civil War II tie-in. And of course, this Spider-Man comic features Miles Morales. Not the Amazing Spider-Man with Peter, just Spider-Man with Miles. So it's a little bit different, but it's a lot bit better in my opinion. So things kind of start out with just total destruction, chaos. Miles' suit's all ripped up. Turns out Hulk wreaking havoc. This is pretty insane, pretty not good. And now he has his eyes, his evil eyes, set on Miles. And when he finally grabs Miles to kill him, all of a sudden we're in Miles' dorm room with his two friends, and he's woken up from what is essentially the worst nightmare you could probably ever have. I can only imagine the only thing worse than having a Hulk grab you is probably my son's poopy diapers in the morning. Those are pretty terrible. But yeah, so it's all kind of a dream that he has, or not so much as a dream as it's like a prediction that was shown to him by Ulysses that now he just has nightmares about because he's scared it's going to come true. Of course, there's some other things that go on in this book, especially with his mother talking with the Private Eye, who doesn't give her what's been going on with Miles, but she kind of hints at like, look, just go love your son. He's a good kid. Yeah, see, hug your sons. They're good kids. And so you have all that going on. Of course, Miles is trying to just comprehend all this and everything that's going on with Civil War II, and he ends up talking to one of his friends, Bombshell, about it. And of course, Bombshell's powers are to make things explode. She's really good at that. And so he's like, yeah, you stopped a bank robbery, but you kind of blew up a minivan to do it. So like, the question is, are heroes, actually heroes? Are they kind of the problem? And it kind of just falls into his dilemma with superheroing and should he fight even though he believes it's right, or should he try to stay out of it? So there's a lot of just kind of craziness that's going on. And of course, at the end of it, Miles, as dressed as Spider-Man, runs into two people who know who his secret identity is. So that could be really bad news for him going forward, but give you a little hint here, they're two heroes that I both love and adore, and both have Netflix series. Obviously it's Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Of course, there's Daredevil too. I forgot about that. And now Iron Fist is going to have his, but two of the cooler ones. Yeah, way cooler. Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. But yeah, no, this issue of Spider-Man, I love the artwork on it. I love the story behind it. I love just seeing him, talk to his friends. It's not just like the Miles Morales show, although it kind of is. But Great supporting cast. I like all the moving parts that are happening in it. As far as the rating goes for Spider-Man issue number 7, I'm definitely going to give it an A this issue. And up next, we're going to talk about Silk issue number 11. So in this issue, Cindy, who is Silk, is kind of dealing with some issues that she's been having recently. Some with her ex-dead boyfriend. You heard me right. He's ex. He's dead. He's not an ex because he's dead. He was an ex before he died. Then he died, and now she's having issues with him. Mainly because it's like they're still in love with each other, but because he's a ghost now, they can't really touch or react or, act on those urges and such. The only time he can like physically manifest himself to do anything is when he's fighting, which they get this cute little idea. She's like, just tackle me, and they're ending up a hug tackle, which is cute and stuff like that. But they seem to be kind of moving in a positive direction for Cindy. She gets promoted at her job, but for whatever reason she hates it. Then she gets promoted at her other job, which is with S.H.I.E.L.D., and she kind of hates that too. I mean, she's just angry for just whatever reason. And then everything kind of comes to a head when her friends end up finding out that Cindy is Silk. But I think they already knew through something else. Another little instance that happened with the Black Cat is where they kind of figured it out, but now they kind of confronted her on it, and they're totally cool with it. They're like, your secret's safe with us, we love you, you're a really cool person, and things kind of work out. And then so they share with her what they found out about where her parents might be and like just where they should start looking. That leads them to like this crazy building with like this super underground secret lair, which of course can't be good, right? And then while they're there, this crazy doorway opens up, and instead of being cautious, it's like, hey, maybe we should go tell the Avengers or someone of higher authority. Let's just walk through it. And that's where I think they're entering Weird World. I don't know where they're going, or the Negative Zone, something like that. I don't know. Things are getting strange in Silk, but I kind of like it. I kind of dig it. The artwork in Silk is definitely not my favorite, at least not with this new artist that's been on it for a few. Name's Ford. I can't think of the Tana Ford. Now, it's not terrible artwork. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like trying to hate on the artwork, but I really liked the artwork before it. And I mean, obviously now I think there's a new artist with the more current stuff, but this is issue number 11, which has been out for a little bit. But it's still really good. I like the story. I like Cindy. I like her attitude. She's not always just like, yay, I'm a hero, and she gets bugged, she's angry. It's nice, it's different, but she also has some pretty good jokes, and it's just fun watching her talk and watching her try to deal with everything. And so it's like sometimes I can kind of see myself in Cindy, like just the way she acts, and I feel like that's kind of how I act sometimes. But no, story's good. I really like it. It's very interesting. It's very different than like your regular Spider book. So I'm interested to see where they take it next. If it is the Negative Zone, I think this is the Negative Zone where they're going. So I'm really excited to see how that plays out for Cindy. As far as the rating goes for this book, I give it a B. All right, so the next comic we're talking about is Deadpool issue number 18, which is another Civil War II tie-in, only in the fact that Civil War II is happening while this comic is also happening. If you don't remember, I reviewed 17 not too long ago. Deadpool walks in on Sheikhla having an affair with Wolfman. Now, obviously, they're kind of both okay with each other sleeping around, but he's kind of like, look, your guest list is growing pretty large, and I'm starting to kind of be like, well, I'm your husband. So we get the awesome husband-wife. It's assault family violence, basically, what I've learned from my job. But because it's a comic book, it's hilarious and fun. And, of course, Deadpool has this crazy little quips and things like that. Of course, now he's kind of like, maybe I should take a break. Obviously, he thinks that, we're just going to break up. My life is miserable. We're going to break up, and that's it. But she doesn't really mention that. She kind of digs fighting Deadpool. She's like, this is the Deadpool I love and miss and stuff like that. So it's kind of funny, a little bit awkward, and things go like that. He ends up going back to the Avengers, or the Uncanny Avengers hideout, which has been destroyed in one of their... I don't know when this happened, but apparently one of their adventures, it was destroyed. And there he finds Rogue, and he kind of just has a heart-to-heart with Rogue. She's like stepped in as the new Captain America / Wolverine role for him in the previous series with Deadpool. And so he kind of has a heart-to-heart, and he also shares with her that, I have a daughter, and she might possibly be a mutant, so I kind of need you there. And it's nice. I like that. I like that he confides in her for some help and stuff like that. But it's kind of like another little sad story for Deadpool. In a way, it's kind of like him feeling bad for himself, which I guess the tragic part of the character is what always kind of draws people to him in some way. Also the comedy, but I think like the tragic side of Deadpool mixed in with the comedy really makes him great, and so that's why I've always really enjoyed him. As far as this issue goes, I really enjoy the artwork. Mike Hawthorne, who's doing the artwork in this series, I've always liked his artwork. I like the figures he does, and I like the action scenes that he does. And the story is pretty good, Things are changing. It's definitely kind of like a transition period for Deadpool right now. And so he's got no more mercs for money. It looks, for the time being, he's got no more wife. So we're going to see how that all plays out. And now my son's getting into his birthday gifts. So let me go stop him, and then we'll get on with the next book. And finally, the last book we're going to talk about this week is Descender issue number 14. Now this issue kind of focuses on Bandit, which is the little dog companion robot to Andy and Tim 21. Now if you don't remember, Andy was the little boy who had to leave Tim 21 at the mining colony, and in this you kind of get to see that story, what it was like at the mining colony before the gas leak, or well, during the gas leak, and when the robots started attacking the human race. So it's a lot of interesting, a lot of exciting stuff, and then a whole lot of nothing happens. Everyone's dead, and all you see is a Bandit there, and he's trying to get Tim 21 to wake up. And then you see it's 10 days later, then it's 10 months later, then it's 10 years later. Jesus Christ, a lot has happened, and there's a lot of dead all around. You get to see Bandit kind of explore. He meets Driller and is immediately terrified by Driller, which is really hilarious and really fun. What I really like in this issue, though, is a lot of just the black space that Dustin Nguyen uses in his artwork. I love his watercolor works. Not a lot of words in this issue. It's all really told visually, which I like. I like stories like this a lot. Just, I don't know why. It's appealing to me. I know you read a comic, you pay $3 for a comic to get a lot of content, but in the same way, like the cliche is, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and my son is just destroying this plastic bag right now. You get to see from a scene from the very first issue of Descender when Bandit meets Tim 21 and scares him, and Tim 21 almost kills him. So that's pretty interesting, and it's cool to see it like tie back to all that stuff. Of course, we do catch up with present day and Andy with Effie, or well, she's now Queen Between, because she's like part human and part robot now after a crazy accident happens to her, but that might be spoilers for a future episode. And they decide to use Bandit's companionship, which is tied to Tim 21, to help locate him. And that might cause some issues for Tim 21 over at the little robot terrorist hideout. And it looks like he's kind of in trouble based on what this issue shows. As far as the rating goes for Descender, though, like I mentioned, love Dustin Nguyen's watercolor artwork. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it has so much life to it, even though it's all about robots and like the dead of space. I mean, it's so amazing. It feels like you're there almost in a way. Jeff Lemire, although there's not much writing in this comic, I mean, he obviously kind of says, this is what I want to happen, and I like the way everything plays out. I like seeing what Bandit went through, or how Andy and his mother were, and how she was kind of trying to be the hero of the mining colony to save everyone from the gas leak and ends up dying, which is sad, but it's still really cool. It's a really good story, and I really enjoy it. Descender is probably one of my favorite comics this year. It's been great every issue, and I can't recommend it enough to anyone. If you're not reading Descender, you really need to check it out. I know the volumes, some of them are out there, so please go find them. Please read it, because this book is way too beautiful not to be read. Or just wait for the hardcover. The hardcover should be coming out soon, and that's going to be amazing. Anyway, rating for this one, definitely an A. I'll give it an A-. It would have been nice to have a little bit more words in it, but like I said, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. A- for Descender, issue number 14. But that is it for the comic books that I run into review for you guys this week. Let's quickly move on to the nifty nerd news, and then I'll give you just little stuff, and then we'll get out of here. Alright guys, so up first for the nifty nerd news is there's going to be a Gotham City Sirens movie coming. Of course, that's going to feature Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman. It's going to be, looks like, directed by David Ayer, who of course did Suicide Squad, and of course that movie made tons of money, so why not put them on for Gotham City Sirens? It looks like they're trying to figure out their formula. Like, oh look, this movie with all these supervillains did well. Let's do another movie with all these supervillains and get the same guy to direct them, which I guess is not a bad thing if you think about it. But is it a good thing? Is it? I don't know. Of course, people had issues with the Suicide Squad movie. However, it sold like $700 and something billion worth of tickets. So I guess, it kind of did something right. Or it has the name power, I guess, is what it's really looking for it. So that's going to be happening. I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk about it or think about it. Also, what's in the works here? Oh, news about Free Comic Book Day. That's important. That's going to be next year. Is it May 6th? Yeah, May 6th of 2017. There's going to be quite a few comics that I definitely want to check out for Free Comic Book Day. Of course, depending on your shop that you go to, you can only go to so many. So it's good to know where all your shops are. In Houston, I think there's about 8 or 10 shops that I know of. And who knows, maybe just a road trip around Houston, picking up all the Free Comic Book Day books, if I can. I hope they're not listening to this. No. Of course, some of them that I wanted to highlight, Betty and Veronica, which looks pretty awesome. There's also another one by David Peterson and some other people called Boom Studios Summer Blast. It looks like it's going to feature a few comic book stories, but I like the cover on it. You have a Free Comic Book Day avatar from Dark Horse. That looks interesting, but not too interesting. Of course, DC and Marvel both have theirs, but they're kind of listed as top secret or unknown type thing. The Marvel one does look like it features Spider-Man. There's also this cool Star Trek The Next Generation comic that looks coming out, and it's got like Captain Picard on it with a beard, and that is amazing. So I really want to see that. But the one I'm really, really excited about is going to be I Hate Image from Scotty Young, which is based off the I Hate Fairyland comic, and where it looks like the little girl Gertrude escapes Fairyland, but she gets sucked into the Image universe, and it looks like she's beating up on them, which seems really fun and really awesome. Of course, there's going to be a Rick and Morty one, some Doctor Who stuff, Exo, Man-O-War. Another one that I'm kind of interested in is going to be the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, with a little excerpt from the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time graphic novel. And so those are just some that I wanted to highlight because I thought they were interesting. And of course, Free Comic Book Day, man. Who doesn't like free comic books? I mean, I'm super excited about that. I figure all you guys should be super excited about that as well. Also in comic book news, it looks like DC is going to be doing some annual crossovers with their Hanna-Barbera line. Now, if you don't remember who the Hanna-Barbera characters are, that's all the new stuff they had coming out, like the Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, Future Quest, like with Space Ghost and all that. And so that's like that line. And there's some pretty cool ones that are coming out. There's going to be an Adam Strange Future Quest annual. There's going to be a Booster Gold in the Flintstones annual, which has a really interesting premise. It's like prehistoric dinosaurs have taken over Earth in the future, so he has to go back in time to the Flintstones era to try to understand them. Like, that's the whole premise, so that he can save the world. But the one that looks really cool is going to be the Green Lantern and Space Ghost annual, and I love the cover for it. It's so dynamic to me. It has Space Ghost and Hal Jordan, and they have like their fists like in the power ring thing, and they're like joined together in the middle, and it's like explosion. So it seems really cool and really awesome. There's going to be a Suicide Squad and Banana Splits annual, which is going to be really interesting. I don't know how that one's going to play out. But the one I'm really excited for is definitely the Space Ghost Green Lantern one. And I think you guys should be too. And this just goes on with, the Free Comic Book Day. Now, they're not part of Free Comic Book Day, so I shouldn't have said that. It's just a list of comics that I'm really excited for coming out next year. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, if you watch Jimmy Fallon, the late night show, I sometimes do. I don't know. He's a little crazy, but some of his skits are really funny, which I do enjoy watching. But in one of his latest episodes of the show, I think it was a week or two old now by this time, he gets to play the new Mario Go phone app, which is, Mario Run. And it's Mario Go. Where the hell am I getting these names from? A Mario Run iPhone app where it's basically like playing Mario, but on your phone, except he continuously runs, and you just got to jump with the phone, and you can do like cool wall jumps, cool spins, jump on things, collect coins. Some pretty interesting stuff. It feels like, it just looked like you're watching Mario. I mean, hell, that's the way I play Mario. I don't stop. I just continuously run forward, and if I die, so be it. I have like 100 lives by this point anyway. But another big thing that he got to play and that we got to see firsthand working live in front of everyone was the Nintendo Switch, and of course, Legend of Zelda Twilight, it's the Twilight Princess one. I can't remember what Legend of Zelda it is. It's freaking awesome though, and just getting to see the Switch work, how it showed up on the big screen and looked great, and then how he moved it to the tablet and was playing it on the tablet, and it still looked good, great on the tablet too. Of course, it does process a little bit slower, so it works at a lower frame rate, so it can keep up with the speed and that thing's going. But I mean, that's the system, you know. I mean, people are always like, oh yeah, you know, they talk about it, and we still don't really know much about the tablet or the gaming system, if you will. But it looks awesome. It ran really well. It seemed really fluid between the station and to the handheld mode, and it seemed really excited. And Jimmy Fallon seemed really excited, genuinely excited to be playing it. He was really excited, which got me even more excited. I don't know if it was a publicity stunt or whatever, but it made me excited for the Switch. I can't wait to see it. I don't know if I'll buy it because I don't remember what the price tag was on it, but it looked really interesting. So we will have to see. Sorry, my son is getting into plastic bags and rubber balloons. That's probably not good because those are not supposed to be edible. But as you know, little children like to make everything edible. And then the last thing that we'll talk about is in more movie news, DC movie news. I've been talking a lot about DC. Usually talk a lot about Marvel. This time a lot about DC. But it looks like Patrick Wilson is now going to be playing in the Aquaman movie as his evil half-brother Orm. And that's Aquaman's evil half-brother, not Jason Momoa's evil half-brother. But that'd be awesome if they were just like brothers. But yeah, so it seems that he's signed on. He's done, what is that movie? It's that scary movie. I was going to say Conundrum. No, it's not Conundrum. It's, oh shit, let's look here. I'm sure if I just, go Conjuring. That's what that movie's called, Conjuring. That's the movie that he's in. And they're all right. I saw the first one. I thought it was pretty interesting. Patrick Wilson, pretty cool guy, pretty cool actor. I like him. And so, but I think he's pretty cool to be playing in the Aquaman movie. I think he can totally handle it and act alongside Jason Momoa. I mean, obviously, superhero movies, you don't have to act that great. It helps, but, we kind of forgive them for not being the best actors because it's our favorite heroes, and that's all we really care about. But anyway, that is it for the Nifty Nerd News. Let's just move on to some crazy random stuff. We don't even need a transition for this. Let's just talk and shit. So, like I mentioned before, my son is now officially a year and a day old, and a lot of this month and the end of last month was trying to plan for his first birthday party, which I don't know if any of you guys have kids and stuff, like trying to plan for your first child's first birthday is a nightmare headache because everyone kind of wants, it's a big deal, it's your first, it's his first. Everyone's like, oh my God, it has to be epic and awesome. And so we were trying to just coming up with the idea of how to do the party. Obviously, we're like superheroes. That's what everything's been up to now. But we kind of wanted to change things up a bit. And so we went with a Harry Potter themed birthday party, which I thought was awesome. We got different tables with black tablecloths, and then we did table runners of color for each of the houses. My sister made banners with the G for Gryffindor, S for Slytherin, and all the different houses, which all looked really great. Had different colored balloons. We made these cool wands out of dowel rods and hot glue. You hot glue kind of the lower half of them, and you mold it when it gets cool enough. Don't do it when it's freaking hot because it hurts. I found that out the hard way. But you do it when it's cooled down a bit so you can mold them. And then after that, you paint them brown, black, whatever color you want your wands to be. And they actually turned out really good. And it was a huge hit with my son just bit me in the hand. That's what I get for not paying attention. But, I mean, that all turned out really good. We made little snitches out of, those golden chocolate candies and hot glued wings to them. And then, of course, when you caught them, or quote-unquote caught them, they were just laying on the table, you could eat them up. And it was great. They had a delicious treat inside. Of course, Harry Potter, he ate his snitch. Well, not really ate it, but it went in his mouth. Kind of sounds gross now that I think about it. But anyway, so we had a lot of that. We did it out of my mom's place, which she has this awesome outdoor fireplace and partially covered garage parking structure thing, which it was cold, surprisingly cold in Texas for once. And then the next day, it was 40 degrees that night, or 60 was the high, and then the next day it was 80 degrees with humidity, because that's Texas, it's the bipolar weather of the United States. But with the fireplace and everything, no one was really cold, and it was a whole lot of fun. We had a blast doing it, and we were really thankful for everyone that got to come out and enjoy it. I'm sure I posted, or someone's posted pictures on either my Facebook or Instagram or Twitter somewhere. I'm sure you can find pictures of the party and some of the decorations. If not, I'll try to get those out for you. But I mean, the whole thing of it was just stressful, man. Like, trying to get everything put together. But what we just kind of realized was at the end, it all just kind of came together. Family stepped in to help. RJ, miracle baby here, was surprisingly not grumpy. Even though it was around his nap time when we did the party, he handled it really well. And when people sang happy birthday to him, he didn't even cry. He loved it. He enjoyed it. Didn't blow out the candle on his cake, but whatever. That's cool. It's not like I put all that time and effort to make you the Haggard cake that said happy birthday RJ and spelled everything incorrectly, because that's what Haggard did. I don't know. It's not like I put time and effort for this little shit to just not care about it. I did though. But no, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and it was a fun birthday. I mean, I think that first birthday is really, obviously, I think anyone's first birthday, or like when it's a small kid, it's really for the parents. Like these next few birthdays, like till he's about maybe 4 or 5, it's really for us just to kind of be like, look, we made it another year and our kid's not a total asshole or dead. And so I feel like that's the celebration of birthdays, really. And then when he starts to get like 4 or 5, when he starts remembering things and like is self-aware of things, that's when it's like, okay, now it's about him. What's his kind of parties that he likes, and what's his favorite things? That's when it gets to that stage. So I don't know. We'll tackle it next year, see how things play out. Now we're going to Christmas. But Christmas is great because you don't have to plan the parties. That was the awful thing about the party, having to plan them. I miss being young enough where you didn't have to plan parties. You just showed up and had fun. That was the best part of all the birthdays. And now you don't get that. Now you have to suffer the consequences of whatever they are. But no, it was fun. It was great. And it felt really rewarding after everything was said and done. So we really dug that. But anyway, that's enough about my personal life. Holiday gift guide that I wanted to tell you guys about, because let's face it, we all know that one person that's like super hard to get to, but they watch comic book movies, maybe they read comic books or whatever. You don't know a lot about them. It's like your weird nephew that just kind of into his Nintendo DS during the holidays, even though he's 35 or whatever. That kind of weird nephew. But I just thought of some things that might be cool for them to get. And obviously, it takes maybe just like 1 or 2 questions to ask, like, hey, are you into this? Like, do you like Doctor Who? Yes, I like Doctor Who. That's great. Now, of course, the buy-all, end-all type gift place to go to is any of the Think Geek stores that you can find here in Houston. I know there's one in Sugarland. It is amazing. It has all the most amazing stuff that you could ever find, ever. And I really dig it. Some really simple gift guides, though. If they like The Walking Dead, stuff like that. There's my son. Check out the compendiums. They have 3 compendiums out now, which collect like 50-something comics each. That's always great for a Walking Dead fan. Of course, if you have a comic book collector fan, you can always buy them a short box from any local comic book store. You can find them online, too. Shop local. These guys need the help. Even though I'm the one who buys comics online or reads them digitally now, so I'm the biggest hypocrite of them all. Also, you can check out, like, if they don't have like a huge collection of comics, just have like a little bit, check out those magazine holders, or like I don't even know how to describe them, like the folder magazine holder type things. They're really good. I have some plastic ones that I put some like collected series in, like my Deadpool series, my Superior Spider-Man series, and I really enjoy it. I really like it. It's a great way to just keep them all together nicely and display them pretty cool on the shelf, which is awesome. Of course, you can always check out things like the Marvel movies that are always out there, other kind of nerd movies that are always out there. I'm telling you though, that Think Geek store is freaking amazing. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. Graphic novels work really well. You can even find them now at like Target and Walmart. They sell like the graphic novels of like Batman and other DC books mixed with like the animated movie that goes with it. So it's really awesome. It's really cool. And it's a cool like 2-in-1 gift that you can always give them. Another thing that I found really interesting that I saw at Walmart was a $10 virtual reality headset. It's one of those little cardboard headsets that you can put your phone into and do like the cool 360 VR experience, which is really fun and it's really cheap. But the only thing I've noticed, if you wear glasses, it's not really that friendly. Your glasses don't fit unless you have like really thin glasses. So either get contacts or get LASIK surgery, which of course is going to run you, LASIK's a couple $1,000s, and contacts aren't really the cheapest thing in the world either, although they're getting cheaper. Someone like me who has really bad eyesight, they're not the cheapest thing in this world. Other cool things that I always dig and I always want, hard drives. Love hard drives, especially for me when I record my podcast. I always ask for a portable hard drive. I need a terabyte or more. I'm like 75% of the way through my first terabyte of hard drive. I have a second hard drive, but my wife also uses that for her YouTube videos, which she hasn't done in a while, but she does them, and so I don't want to take up too much space on that. So I'm already looking for another terabyte of hard drive space so I can save that kind of thing. So I mean, it just, nerd stuff is out there, and so there's really cool stuff. You can find collectible comics, or like comics that are kind of big things. Like one of my favorite comics that I've got right now, and it's displayed on my wall, is going to be like, what do you mean like? It's one of the giant-sized giant-sized annuals of the Amazing Spider-Man, and it's number 21, which is the wedding issue of the Amazing Spider-Man. And on it, it's got Spider-Man with Mary J in her wedding dress. It's really awesome, it's really cool, and you probably can hear that noise in the background. That's my son pulling a chair across the room because he's a dick. But so yeah, there's just some basic things. I know it's not the greatest gift idea, but you can always check those things out. Also, another thing which a lot of people don't think about, probably because it might cost some depending on who you go with, but original artwork are just prints by artists. Check them out. Like comic book prints just are things that the person likes. There's people who do Doctor Who commissions or prints of Doctor Who, anything that you can think of, Pokemon, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can get them at comic book conventions, but they also sell them when they're not at comic book conventions. You can just buy these prints online, and they make great gifts. They look awesome on walls. Check them out, and definitely that helps an artist. That goes towards artwork, and it's really cool. And it's it's like their own business, so you're helping small business in a way, and all that kind of stuff. So check that out. Those are just some of my gift ideas that I could think of off the top of my head. And they all work really well. I really enjoy it. But anyway, guys, that is going to be it for the Bry-Fy podcast this week. Tried to just keep things short, simple, and sweet, and I still end up talking for over 30 minutes. How about them apples? And, of course, my son is making noises behind me the whole damn time. But I'm glad you guys joined me this week. Thank you for wherever you're listening to the Bry-Fy podcast, whether it's Stitcher, the iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, or Podbean, or whatever other podcast catching app that you're using to listen to me. Thank you guys so much. And like I've always told you guys, if you want to follow me more, get some more Bry-Fy and just other things that I retweet or news stuff that I try to post out there when I'm not podcasting, go follow me on all my social media. Everything is going to be at BryFyPodcast. It's BryFy Podcast. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Vine, Snapchat, all that crazy stuff. And if you want to play video games with me, I play on Xbox Live. You can always follow me at BryFyPod. I don't think there's not an at in there, just BryFyPod, BryFy Pod. So all that stuff. If you guys enjoy the little gaming videos that I do, let me know. I don't play too many different games right now because I just don't have too many different games, but I can do more and try to just see what I can do to update that. If you like hearing my son cry in the background, please let me know. I'd love to just have him be a part of that all the time. So I don't know. Also, before I let you guys go, I'm also trying to get everyone's opinions on their favorite comic books or graphic novels of this year, movies too, whatever. I'm going to try to display them as the final episode of the year, just kind of like Bry-Fy's listener recommendations, something like that. So everyone who listens to the Bry-Fy can get a say on what they've been reading also, and just kind of give back to the community. Like I said, this podcast is about bringing people together to start discussions or just bring friendships together, and that's what I'm hoping to do with this podcast. And so if you have a comic that you've really been enjoying this year and you want to let everyone else know about it, let me know, and I'll just say, hey, look, these readers, they're digging on this book or they're hating on this book. I don't care what you just tell me. If you love it, hate it, or just don't even care about it, I don't know. But anyway, guys, it's time to go. I keep saying it anyway. I keep saying but anyway. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. My son is hungry and tired of listening to me podcast. So, guys, thank you so much. Bry-Fy out.